Welcome to this explainer. Okay, picture this for a second. You've got a wounded wolf caught in a steel trap in a snowy forest, snarling in just absolute desperate defense. Or a massive humpback whale totally tangled up in heavy fishing ropes deep underwater, struggling for every single breath. Or maybe a baby elephant stuck fast in thick mud beneath the scorching African sun. These are incredibly powerful, heart-stopping scenarios, right? Well, today we're going to explore the fascinating science of what actually happens in the minds of these wild animals when humans step in to help. When we watch these heartbreaking situations unfold, one huge central mystery always kind of pops into our heads. Does the animal actually know we're trying to save it? I mean, as humans, the answer feels super obvious to us. Our intent is pure, our compassion is clear, but from the animal's perspective, we are an entirely different species suddenly moving into their vulnerable space. We have to confront the really terrifying possibility that, to them, we might literally look like the ultimate predator coming in for the kill. So let's dive right into Section 1, the biology of fear. To truly grasp what's going down in these intense, high-stress encounters, we've got to look at the baseline neurology. At the exact moment a wild animal gets trapped, their sympathetic nervous system just violently takes over. It completely hijacks them, triggering that automatic fight, flight, or freeze response. You have to remember, this isn't a conscious choice they're making. It's a hardwired neurological imperative. Their body registers a profoundly life-threatening situation. Their heartbeat skyrockets, their muscles tighten up like coiled springs. If you're standing there, you can almost feel that visceral, physical panic flooding their entire system. So, knowing that, a human stepping closer absolutely does not signal help to an animal in this state. In fact, it triggers maximum panic. Why? Well, think about it. In the wild, a slow approach can still mean death. Think about how a predator stalks its prey. It moves slowly, carefully, deliberately. So when a rescuer approaches slowly, the animal's brain is just flooded with pure terror, assuming the absolute worst is about to happen. That brings us to a really fascinating turning point in Section 2, the behavioral mismatch. Despite all that biological terror, something super strange happens in a lot of rescue stories. There's this distinct moment when the animal suddenly stops fighting, and their brain gets, well, momentarily confused. See, a predator acts in very specific, predictable ways. It rushes, attacks, bites, and grabs. But a careful rescuer, they behave entirely differently. They move slowly, deliberately avoiding sudden gestures. And crucially, their focus is intently on the trap itself, not on attacking the animal's body. This wildly contrasting behavior creates a massive neurological mismatch in the animal's brain. It's like a glitch in their matrix. To the animal, the creature in front of it looks incredibly dangerous, but it's not acting like a predator. The animal is frantically trying to compute this conflicting data. And in that exact moment of cognitive confusion, a tiny, crucial pause is created. And that split-second pause, a successful rescue, becomes biologically possible. Let's look at a pretty stunning real-world case study. The rescue of a humpback whale. Imagine this absolute giant, completely tangled up in heavy fishing gear, with ropes wrapped super tightly around her body and heavy traps pulling her downward toward exhaustion. Rescuers actually entered the water with curved knives to cut the ropes. Now, this is a situation of immense physical danger for the humans. A single terrified thrash of that whale's tail could literally be deadly. But remarkably, she stayed near the surface. She just allowed the divers to work, and she didn't thrash at all. This unbelievable stillness sparks a huge debate among experts. Was this profound stillness gratitude, just pure exhaustion, or a paused fear response? Biologically speaking, she may have simply been exhausted, or her fear response was momentarily paused by the rescuer's non-predatory behavior. But what happened after she was released is something you honestly never forget. She swam in circles and gently touched the divers one by one before disappearing into the deep. Wild, right? Now we see a totally different, yet equally fascinating neurological response with a trapped wolf. A wolf is incredibly intelligent and genetically built from the ground up to survive danger. It perceives a human strictly as an immediate threat, no questions asked. But when rescuers show immense patience and literally lower their bodies, they interrupt the wolf's predator profile. The wolf calms down just enough to watch rather than attack. But the moment the trap opens, it runs. It doesn't stick around to celebrate. Biological survival still comes first. All right, let's shift gears a bit in Section 3, intelligence and memory. Now, what's really interesting is how higher intelligence processes a rescue. Let's move up the cognitive ladder to elephants. To understand their reactions, we first need to establish their advanced cognitive and social baseline. Elephants are highly social animals. They possess remarkable memory, they actively comfort each other, and they even mourn their dead. Because of this massive level of neurological complexity, their reactions to human intervention are way more nuanced than just a simple fight-or-flight reflex. Consider a baby elephant that's just been painstakingly freed from thick, suffocating mud. Instead of just bolting away in a panic, some elephants might actually reach out to touch a human hand or even the rescue vehicle. The trunk is basically this incredibly powerful sensory antenna, and the elephant is deliberately using it to gather intricate sensory data about its rescuers and its new environment. Which leads us to ask a really tough question. Is it simply checking what just happened, or is it genuinely recognizing the concept of help? Now, while we obviously can't definitively project human emotions into the elephant's mind, we can absolutely conclude that this behavior is deeply deliberate. It's not some random animalistic spasm. It's a complex processing of a truly extraordinary event. That brings us perfectly to Section 4, recognizing patterns. So, do wild animals truly understand the concept of help? Well, when looking at the cognitive mechanisms at play here, we always have to remember a key limitation. Animals do not think in words, and they don't understand human tools. We really cannot project our complex human intentions onto them. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a tangled whale isn't looking at a diver's knife and processing the mechanics of a sharp blade severing a nylon rope. They definitely aren't comprehending the logistics of a rescue team. Instead, this understanding builds through a sequence of biological pattern recognition. It goes like this. First, the animal experiences severe danger and pain. Then, a human approaches, but surprisingly, does not attack. Suddenly, the pressure and pain disappear, replaced by relief and freedom. The animal's brain neurologically connects the human's non-threatening presence to the sudden cessation of pain. That ability to recognize patterns, that is the true biological beginning of understanding a rescue. Let's bring it all together in Section 5, Science versus Emotion. This brings us to a really fascinating synthesis, navigating the fine line between science and emotion. We have to scientifically reframe our human desire to see gratitude. A seemingly calm animal may not be thankful at all. It might simply be entirely frozen with fear. That gentle touch from a trunk or a fin, it might just be sensory curiosity, not affection. And an animal staying near its rescuer absolutely does not guarantee any intellectual understanding of what just occurred. But we must carefully balance that scientific skepticism with reality. Wild animals feel fear, they feel stress, they have memory, and sometimes they truly seem to recognize kindness. They are highly aware, sentient, and emotional beings. We shouldn't just assume they feel absolutely nothing simply because their neurological processing looks different from our own. Ultimately, it comes down to a silent, incredibly profound moment between two completely different species. The human's careful, non-predatory behavior is essentially communicating one thing: I am not here to hurt you. And against literally all survival instincts, the animal's brain processes that lack of threat just long enough to let the human get to work. And this brilliant biological shift is what makes the whole shebang possible. For one fleeting moment, ancient, hardwired fear becomes a temporary form of trust. That brief neurological suspension of panic is an absolute miracle in itself, and it is exactly what's needed to save a life. Before we wrap up this explainer, I've got a super vital reminder regarding wildlife safety. True compassion requires patience and professional help. Please respect wildlife at all times. Always call trained local authorities, and absolutely never attempt a dangerous rescue alone. Understanding their biology means respecting both their power and their fear. Which leaves us with one final provocative thought for today. If a wild, terrified animal can overcome millions of years of biological instinct to trust us for just 1 second, what more can we do to ensure they never need rescuing in the first place? Thanks so much for exploring this with me, and keep learning.